In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to use the DRV8328A EVM right out of the box to spin a brushless DC motor using sensored trapezoidal control. The DRV8328 is a low-cost bootstrap-based gate driver capable of supplying 1 amp peak source and 2 amps peak sink current to drive N-type power MOSFETs. The DRV8328 EVM is capable of 60 volts absolute maximum voltage and 30 amps peak H-bridge current. The DRV8328 EVM is configured automatically for the DRV8328A variant, which supports 6 PWM inputs and includes an adjustable dead time pin and an overcurrent protection voltage pin. The EVM also supports the DRV8328B, DRV8328C, and DRV8328D variants, but you'll need to replace the IC and configure the correct settings for that variant, which we'll cover shortly. For this demo, you will need the DRV8328A EVM, the LAUNCHXL-F280049C C2000 launchpad, a brushless DC motor, a micro USB cable, and a flathead screwdriver. Let's begin. The DRV8328 is available in A, B, C, and D variants, which are all supported on this EVM. The EVM is pre-configured out of the box for the A variant. For more information on the features each variant provides, please visit the DRV8328 Datasheet. By default, the AB resistor bank is populated with 0 ohm resistors. If you're using the A or B variant, ensure this bank of 0 ohm resistors is populated. If you are using the C or D variant, ensure the CD bank of 0 ohm resistors is populated. You can adjust the N sleep and DRV off voltages by configuring switches S1 and S2. Ensure the N sleep switch is in the wake position. For the DRV8328C and DRV8328D variants, ensure the DRV off switch is in the DRV on position. For the DRV8328A and DRV8328B variants, the VDS level potentiometer configures the overcurrent threshold by monitoring the VDS threshold for the external MOSFETs. Set the VDS level voltage by adjusting the VDS level potentiometer to an appropriate voltage. Clockwise sets a lower VDS level voltage, and counterclockwise sets a higher VDS level voltage. Also ensure the VDS level select jumper is set to POT for the potentiometer or to EXT for an external VDS level voltage. To disable VDS protection, set the VDS disable jumper. For the DRV8328A and DRV8328B variants, set the dead time resistor setting by using a flathead screwdriver to turn the knob on top of the dead time potentiometer. The DT pin linearly determines the driver dead time automatically inserted in the gate drive outputs. Turning the potentiometer counterclockwise lowers the dead time, and turning the potentiometer clockwise increases the dead time. These are the main features of the DRV8328A EVM. For more options, please check the EVM User's Guide on the tool page. Now that the settings are configured, connect the motor phase outputs to phases A, B, and C of connector J12 by using the flathead screwdriver to screw the phase wires into the screw terminals. Next, connect the power supply to connector J9 by connecting the positive of the power supply to PVDD and negative of the power supply to ground. If using a Hall-censored base application, connect the digital Hall signals, Hall power, and Hall ground into connector J10. You can use your finger or the flathead screwdriver to push down and connect each wire into the socket. Ensure the Hall Power Select Jumper J11 is set to AVDD for Hall Power from the LDO, or set to EXT for an external Hall Power supply. Connect the DRV8328 AEVM to the top half of the LAUNCHXL-F280049C. The motor connectors should be facing the top, on the same side as the micro USB cable of the launch pad. Now, turn on the power supply. Using 24 volts and a 2 amp current limit is a good recommended starting setup for lower power motors. Plug the micro USB cable into the launch pad and then into the computer. Now we will connect the hardware to the GUI for sensor trapezoidal control using application firmware. Go to dev.ti.com/gallery and search for DRV8328. There are two GUIs you can select from depending on the variant of the DRV8328 you are using. If you're using the DRV8328A or DRV8328C, select the GUI on the left. If you're using the DRV8328B or DRV8328D, select the GUI on the right. For this demo, we're using the DRV8328A, so we will select the GUI on the left. Accept the README that appears, and wait for the GUI to flash the program into the MCU. When the program is finished installing, Hardware Connected appears at the bottom left corner of the GUI, and the orange LED lights up on the EVM. To start controlling the motor, first click the Output Enable switch. If you wish to control the motor speed using a potentiometer, click the Potentiometer Enable switch in the GUI. You can now use the potentiometer R90 to control the speed of the motor. Turning the pot counterclockwise increases the motor speed, and turning the pot clockwise decreases the motor speed. Otherwise, you can control the duty cycle by setting duty cycle using the slider or entering the value in the number box and pressing Enter. You can change the direction of the motor by clicking on the Direction switch. The DRV8328 AEVM is automatically configured for the end sleep and DRV off pins to be controlled via the switches on the EVM. If you wish to control these from the GUI, follow the user's guide to modify the correct resistors. You can also modify PWM input control parameters such as the PWM frequency, PWM dead time from the MCU, and acceleration ramp rate. You can also brake the motor while it is spinning by setting the braking type to brake or coast in the drop-down menu. Press Stop Motor to brake the motor, and press it again to spin it again. You can set a current limit for the overcurrent fault by adjusting the Overcurrent Limit number box. The external current sense amplifier on the board is 20 volts per volt, and the current sense resistor is 1 milliohm, so these values should not be modified. Finally, you can monitor faults, phase voltages, and the total phase current through these LEDs and meters. If a fault LED lights up red, you can clear that fault by pressing the Clear Faults button after that fault condition has been removed. Thanks for watching the DRV8328 AEVM Getting Started video. For more information, visit the DRV8328 AEVM and LAUNCHXL-F280049C tool pages to order the evaluation hardware and spin your motor in less than 10 minutes.